Bro pulled out a whole RPG and Leon full countered that hoe with this baby ass axe. Resident Evil. One of the craziest zombie universes to be created within the human race. 1 minute, everything's fine. Next minute, you dealing with something your brain would never even imagine. I yapped about this franchise a little bit on my second page. Totally not a plug whatsoever. And this universe got some of the worst zombie types I've ever seen in my life. Literal plants be getting infected and will somehow go from something as simple as this to a literal man-eating mutant. But this universe doesn't even just contain BS enemies. Oh no. But even the protagonists be moving like they off of some Justice League crack. The amount of plot armor I've seen with every single one of the game's protagonists genuinely has to be studied. And as I just recently finished watching Berlizzi play through RE9, it brings me to making this video. Now this thing finna be split into 2 parts, yapping about the types of zombies and yapping about the protagonist. So without further ado, let's dive into the madness. Resident Evil's biggest conflict starts off with a company called Umbrella Corporation. The sole purpose of this company was to create bioweapons in order to make a superior race to humans. This race was supposed to include all sorts of busted abilities such as shape-shifting, super speed, fast healing, and many, many more. This was a genius idea. Is what I would say if this T-virus didn't turn your average human into this. Mind you, this is your average zombie after they get clapped up. You mean to tell me that after someone kills a zombie in their base form, like they from The Walking Dead, they get to come back to life with even more trauma for me to deal with? I'm over here standing 15 feet away just for them to snatch my vagina up with some freaky ass tentacle. Brother, I'm telling you right now, I'm so good on that. And bring it back into what I said in the intro. This virus is so bad that the plants themselves will look like they came straight out of the devil's penthouse. Imagine walking outside in your garden one day, just expecting your roses and tulips to be blooming, only to see that they have turned into I don't even know what this is. Like dog, I could have sworn this was supposed to be a zombie apocalypse. Why in the world am I staring down Poison Ivy from the Batman series if she decided to guzzle down some of Scarecrow's fear toxin? Dog, do not play with me. I will be moving like Batman in Arkham Knight. I will burn every plant in this city. I do not care. And Resident Evil 9 had the audacity to expand on more zombies now. What the fuck? There is no reason why you should turn a corner and hear a crazy bitch singing at the top of her lungs. And I would let it slide if she sounded like Mariah Carey, but unfortunately, she sounds like this. Get at the booth. And that is just the very top of the iceberg. Because if we explore more of the list of enemy offerings this franchise has to bring us, we can see that you have to deal with nightmares like this, or even something like this. Like, nah, bro, what even is this thing? I refuse to let myself get packed up by a beast with a beer belly and have me shaped up like Bond from 7 Deadly Sins. Boy, ain't no way, boy. And even though I mentioned plants get affected as well earlier, I didn't even mention the fact that animals throughout the entire animal kingdom will send you to the pearly gates. You could have a German shepherd looking cute and cuddly one day, and the next, this demon seed is trying to maul you down. And it's not even just furry animals, bruh. You have to not only worry about canines hawking your ass down on a sidewalk on a random Tuesday, but you gotta worry about king-size insects jumping at you, king sharks, gigaton snakes, gigantic spiders, and beasts that will literally violate your innocence just for you simply existing. What? Like, bro, just look what happened to Jill Valentine.
I'm out. You think I'm not watching this. Look! I'm tired of it.
Nigga, what kind of place is this? It's like if the words pain and misery came together and had a baby, and the baby was this universe. Leon Kennedy, one of, if not the GOAT of this series, first day on the job of being a police officer resulted directly into this.
Holy shit!
Yeah, nah, absolutely not. But ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that these monstrosities aren't even the worst types of mutations to deal with in this universe? Niggas couldn't even fathom the thought of just henchmen type of zombies. And with that being said, we gotta move on to even more nightmare fuel. The fucking bosses.
No. Wait.
Now, Resident Evil gotta be the funniest thing I ever seen when it comes to bosses. Because why 1 minute a boss can be a supercharged tyrant that looked like he got birthed out of Krishan Rock, and the next minute you're fighting a literal midget? But on the real though, these bosses have got to go. Nemesis? Dog, this man decided to spend the entirety of RE3 hunting down Jill Valentine. Mans was doing the absolute most. Why is this 8-foot tall juggernaut able to move like a track star and have ranged tentacles in his arsenal? Then even has the nerve to aura farm mid-fight. Dude really got a whole car exploded onto him just to come back out like this.
Hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy.
Just for him to follow up by catching a rocket at point blank range. Yeah, I know Carlos was over there contemplating blowing himself up at that point. But even after all of that, this thing has the audacity to have a second transformation where he transforms into this monstrosity right here. What am I looking at, big bruh? This was supposed to be the genetically enhanced human that Umbrella Corporation was talking about. Why is this thing now able to crawl and jump around entire buildings? Nigga, you are a freaky frog! Yeah, nah, dog, I'm not even gonna go into this. Take me back to the regular zombies. Then, without any other BS in the way, we have to address who could possibly be one of the biggest frauds in Resident Evil history. Albert.
Expose him!
Fucking.
Expose him!
Wesker.
Expose him!
Dog, when I tell y'all this dude should have never lost a fight, I mean he should have never lost a fight. Dude injected himself with the T-virus and was not only given massive amounts of strength, but he was able to move so fast that it literally looks like that he was teleporting. In fact, Mans was beating Chris Redfield so bad it looked like he was getting hit with scorpion combos from MKX. Then at point blank range, this man was over here in the Matrix dodging all types of bullets and at one point even caught a whole rocket. This is what Umbrella Corporation was headed for. Peak physique like this. Wesker was moving just like Nemesis, only if Nemesis decided to go Super Saiyan 2. And dude even had his own tyrant form with Black Panther levels of armor and all types of reach at his disposal as well. Yet for some reason, this nigga still lost to 2 regular rockets shot by 2 regular niggas. This overall shouldn't have even been a competition for bro, but in some way, shape, or form, he managed to fumble one of the easiest, if not then the easiest bag you could have in this entire franchise. And I can go on and on about the other types of bosses like Mr. X gonna give it to you, Krauser, the Baker family, but it's time we talk about the most insane plot armor having, over the top protagonist in this series. And what better person to start it off with than Chris Redfield himself. This man in Resident Evil 1 was for real running away from a boulder coming to squash him. Although I don't know if you can call this running. Dude kind of looked like he was taking a cool little stroll, but whatever. But regardless of doing that, we come back to RE5 where in the middle of fighting Wesker, he had a whole boulder standing in his way. And this man dead ass punches the entire boulder out the way. How, Sway? This shouldn't even be humanly possible. Chris Redfield is stated to be a regular human, just like me. But that's not even the worst of it, bruh. Because in a previous fight that he had with Wesker, he didn't just manage to survive. With the grace of God, he was straight up piecing that motherfucker up. I'm talking, he was hitting that boy with straight boxing level combos. But he was really giving the beats like, mind you, remember how I talked about Wesker having super speed? This is the same person that was running up on Chris like this. And despite doing that, Chris still canonically put bro to sleep, just laid out on the floor snoring. I don't understand how he did it, nor do I understand how while fighting in an airship with him, the plane was going full speed just to crash into a whole volcano, just for him and Sheva to walk out completely unscathed and continue to duke it out with Wesker in an entire volcano. Queso, being the biggest Chris Redfield glazer, had to see this happen and immediately got turned on, because I know he was ready to throw it back for him after all this happened.
I am awful at everything besides throwing it back for Chris Redfield. Other than that, I suck.
Ethan Winters has got to go down as one of the most tragic characters, if not then the most tragic character in the entire Resident Evil franchise. Man's essentially went through hell on Earth for his wife in one game and then his daughter in the very next. I better not hear any slander from my boy, especially since not only was he soloing the entire Baker family, going through all types of horrors and whatnot, but he also had to deal with, I don't even know what this is, bruh.
Oh, hell no!
Cause I'm a nasty motherfucker and I bite you on your pussy. Bite you on your pussy. Bite you on your pussy.
Lock his ass up!
What happened to original zombies, bruh? Whoever was on the writing team for RE7 needs their hard drives checked expeditiously. Because how did they think COVID pussy would be a great fit to be a boss fight in this franchise? Dudes in the game were throwing every out-of-pocket thing they had to offer at Ethan. Monsters, jigsaw type puzzles, hell, even spiritual beings was what this man had to deal with. But they made ran through expired salmon pussy a part of the team. Yeah, bro, I think it's time I head out.
Oopsie.
But Ethan Winters is not just no ordinary person, because remember how I said he was going through it in RE7? Well, I wasn't playing, because every 2 seconds this man's limbs was getting popped off like he was Mr. Potato Head. And instead of finding a way to wrap up his injuries to reduce blood loss, this man just poured some goop juice on himself and fixed him right up, and immediately acted like all of that was normal. What? Even in the very next game, Resident Evil 8, dude got hit with the same treatment Tien did when he was fighting Nappa. But then, just like before, he pulled out the goop and poured it on himself to not only fix his arm, but his outfit got fixed too. What? I promise you, I don't even know what this franchise has become anymore. And then on top of that, just like how Chris Redfield had to deal with a genetically enhanced being like Wesker, Ethan had to do the same thing, which was going up against a damn near evil Avengers. I'm talking dude fought a man named Heisenberg who had the powers of Magneto, metal bending stuff into Ethan's organs and was crafting absolute monsters with it. Then he went up against some woman who uses some type of mental horror powers and terrifying dolls to not only try to make him go insane, but also lose hope in living. Then he went against your average League of Legends player who smelled like 12 cans of Bounce That Ass and was covered in nothing but eyeballs. I'm talking this man was straight disgusting. And then dude went up against literal vampires, and the main one being Lady Dimitrescu was not only a vampire, but this girl turned into a whole dragon. How this man Ethan survived all that was beyond me. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But now me personally, I wouldn't have been able to last against her in her base form alone. Especially in her base form. I know y'all see how fine she is. Ethan a better man than me, because if Lady Dimitrescu started sucking on my meat like this,
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
yeah, that entire village would have been covered in my nut. But to end it all off, this man Ethan had to go face to face with the mother of mold, the woman single-handedly responsible for pretty much all the zombies and bosses in both RE7 and RE8. This woman named Mother Miranda had insane speed, all types of weird powers, and could even blind Ethan whenever she wanted to. I say all that because regardless, my nigga Ethan soloed all them bitches with regular guns. Y'all need to hype my boy head up. He was moving like Mark in that one RDC skit. Which gun you want? I got this gun. Oh, and I got this gun. I got guns. Now, bro either had to be the coldest to ever do it, or every single one of these villains is getting put on fraud watch. Because mind you, Ethan literally died twice within his story. Once against the Baker family, and then to Mother Miranda herself by getting his whole heart ripped out his chest like a man getting denied with this proposal. But dude defied death both times and put BTA to the evil Avengers. Nothing but respect for Mr. Winters. Slander for him will not be tolerated. Yes! Bitch, we made it! It is time to finally talk about the GOAT of this franchise himself. And I am excited to start with him in RE4 because let's be honest, RE2 was kind of a horror story for him, to be honest. So, yeah, we're going to skip past all that. But back in Resident Evil 4, this man had to go up against Donald Trump's worst nightmare. And that was a bunch of Spanish-speaking niggas. And dog, when I tell you this man cannot be human, I mean that wholeheartedly. Dude went up against a whole army of mind-controlled zombies by himself. And not only survived that whole thing, but in the heat of battle, my man parried a whole chainsaw with a knife and stopped that thing. Dude should have been more chopped up than Rakai reading a book, but instead he came out completely unharmed. And then after that, he proceeds to take down a zombie whale in a lake using nothing but spears and a whole bunch of other boss fights that was all types of crazy. But here's what really blew me, bruh. One of the his attacks. Mind you, Leon got dropped off his first encounter with Mendez, completely speed blitzed. But now this man got the strength of Superman built into him and was able to put down the big cheese with ease. Yeah, alright, bruh. You got it. And outside of Leon's combat, this man gotta be the most over-the-top Resident Evil protagonist. He be doing a whole lot for absolutely no reason. Tell me why in one mission he was about to get ambushed by some crazy hoes with chainsaws, right? Instead of just simply taking a step back, he decides to backflip off the wall to Aura Farm. Mans was moving like King Batch talking about some.
Yeah, but that backflip though.
And if we take it back to the original RE4, there was this mission where Leon had to dodge some lasers in this room in order to move forward. But at first he does a cool little backflip because it was a very sudden time to dodge. So I ain't gonna get on him for this. But then the lasers start charging towards him again, and this beast of a man manages to backflip and perfectly angle himself just right so that none of the lasers can hit him. I don't know if I'm watching Resident Evil at this point or one of the Matrix movies, but something is not adding up here. The only man I ever knew in existence that could actually adjust his body in midair was Mr. Crocker. Come on, bruh. And to end it off, the lasers charge him again, and Leon runs up a whole wall and does another backflip off that hole to avoid getting cruised. He is supposed to be a regular human in this franchise, just like Chris, but he is somehow over here moving like this. Stop the cap. And speaking of lasers, I didn't forget about Ada Wong. Let me just throw her cameo in right quick. She had to go through the same thing in the RE4 remake DLC, except she didn't do a backflip, front flip, 360 nigga flip, none of that. Instead, she dang near just flies through the entire thing. I'm talking, she jumped off the wall and hit the I believe I can fly. I believe that you should subscribe. Alright, but let me stop because I don't even want to dedicate time into this lying, always plotting, scheming, backstabbing bitch. Now remember how I said Leon was the descendant of Meliodas? Well, we see him again in RE9. We not finna talk about this forbidden game, at least not in this video. And dude is officially unk in this game. Straight DILF material for the ladies out there. I'm already knowing. But throughout this entire game, Leon is on life support. He done got infected with the virus and his body was starting to shut down on him like an old Windows computer catching the error code. But the moment he gets a cure to him, this nigga turns into Goku, because the moment he was fighting Victor Gideon, the main antagonist of the game, bro pulled out a whole RPG and Leon full countered that hoe with this baby ass axe. And then when Victor transforms into a full-on tyrant, he does that exact same thing again. I don't understand how bro is able to move like this. Remember, this dude is old as hell in his games. He should not be able to do all this. Like, dude, you 36. And the last thing about Leon is that he will put in all this work, do the absolute most, and then will end it off with a corny line like this.
Should've worn a helmet.
Shut your fucking mouth!
Did y'all think I was going to end the video without mentioning the actual GOAT of this series? The man, the myth, the legend, Joe Left Right Goodnight Baker. This OG pulled up to the Baker house, the same place that Ethan was going through it, just so he could save his niece. And not only did he pull up on 2 BSAA agents, who the BSAA are a team of elite, I'm going to say that again, elite soldiers, meaning top flight security. And Buddy immediately dropped both of the soldiers out with his bare hands. Left, right, good night. Then as he has to explore the Baker swamp to find a cure for Zoe, which is the name of his niece, he comes face to face with a molded monster. The same enemy that required multiple gunshots from Ethan just to go down. And what did Joe do? He literally beat the nigga to death and then proceeded to stomp out his corpse like he had internal beef with him. Mind you, this goes on for most of the DLC in RE7. Joel travels to these locations for Zoe, monsters get in his way, and then they get laid out. But the biggest and the best accomplishment in this entire series was the fact that he came face to face with his brother, Jack Baker. And bro was looking different right here. He went from looking like a stressed out bald white man to the spitting image of the Swamp Thing from DC. And long story short, this dude put the beats on him so bad that mid-fight, he picked this probably 500-pound bag of mold up, putting nothing but Zombussy in his face. And then he suplexes that motherfucker. And he didn't even end it there, because after that, he gets his ass up and then rips his entire head off with his bare hands. Left, right, good night. Bro, something is wrong with him.
That's not human, man. You're not regular, man. Nigga was the devil, man.
Again, I have to reiterate, it took Ethan multiple gunshots and even a chainsaw to put Jack down temporarily. Joe gave his brother a knuckle sandwich and put him in a coma. This is what I'm talking about. This is peak character. And then to end it off, he later finds a gauntlet that the BSAA had set up at one of their camps. So of course, he takes that hoe, and that brings us to the final boss fight. Joe confronts his brother Jack one last time, and this time he actually finds out that it's actually his brother because he didn't have any mold covering his face no more. And Joe knew that Jack was too far gone. So in order to save Zoe, he continues to put the beats on old buddy and then slams his face so hard with the gauntlet that he flat out killed Jack permanently.
I said, say you swear to God! Say you swear to God!
Listen to me. Analyze this. He punched that boy so hard, he knocked the regeneration out of him with his fist. He once killed a man with this thumb, my nigga. Think about how crazy that is. Jack got shot many times, burnt, exploded, cut to pieces, and injected with a cure that was supposed to permanently kill him, all by Ethan, and then got his head tore off, and somehow recovered from all of that. But one old man with the strength of Goku apparently was all it took to permanently send him back to the lobby. And what's funny about all this is the fact that he could have just used the guns from the soldiers that he dropped off earlier, but instead he still chose to run the hands. Mans was really moving like SSJ 9K talking about some.
Niggas think I'm fighting to save the day, but really, nigga, I just like to fight. What? I don't care about none of that shit.
Incredible. Wait, one more thing. I am not finna let this slide before I let y'all go. We gotta slander Chris Redfield for a second, bro. Oh my God, I've been waiting on this. I don't care about him in any other game or any movie, but we gotta talk about him in RE8, bruh. Dude walked into Ethan's house, bodied his wife, and kidnapped his baby in front of him. Then when Ethan asked what's going on, all this nigga had to say was, Ethan, that wasn't your wife. That was this bioterrorist named Mother Miranda, and we need to take Rose somewhere safe. Boom, real quick and real easy. But here's the kicker, listen to this. When Ethan eventually catches up to Chris in the game, he finally asks him to tell him the truth. Chris, dead ass, turns around, looks this man dead in his face and says,
Why don't you fucking tell me right away? Because I knew you would want to be involved. You would want to be involved. You would want to be involved.
Is this nigga serious?
Duh, nigga! Obviously he would want to be involved. You just walked up in his house, killed this man's wife, and stole his baby in front of him. You stupid bitch! It would have made more sense if Chris was later on in the game like, hey bro, I couldn't tell you about it because I didn't know if Mother Miranda had an influence over you. Nigga, this is the excuse? Oh yeah, if I'm Ethan, you getting clipped right here and right now. But he instead had his soldier attack him and then completely knock him out, which resulted in him going through all of the stuff in RE8 by himself just to die at the end to save his daughter. This entire game could have been prevented from Ethan's standpoint. Then in RE7, he shows up at the very end of the game after Ethan damn near handled all of the problems by himself. Like, bro, if I was Ethan, I would have been mad as hell right here. Like, I just spent almost 2 straight nights going through all this. Where was you when I needed you, nigga? And then he had the nerve to show up looking like this. Look at this downgrade, bro. How did we go from this in RE6 to this in the very next game? Like, dog, this is not the icon we know and love. Who is this nigga? This ain't Chris Redfield, bruh. This is chopped Blue Lane. Yeah, nah, the Resident Evil universe, y'all got it.